For the past few years, Sony has had quite the wild ride with the amount of games they've been putting out and the success that is the PS4 for them. And almost every E3 you can count on seeing some sort of new IP from them somehow. But as of late, the excitement of what they could announce at E3 has waned a bit. Not because of the leaks, but because of other avenues in which they can use to announce new projects. Take PSX for example, an event that only started a few years back for them, but has been a commercial success in terms of audience. The year before last, they hit us with a surprise reveal that was The Last of Us Part 2. Then last year they hit us with a surprise that is Ghost of Tsushima, which left very little in the way of what they could surprise us with at E3, except for the year they revealed the Final Fantasy VII Remake and the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter. But since then, it's been somewhat of a middling ride, and this year is no different. Hell, they've even gotten to the point now where they basically came out and told everyone what they plan to show at E3 in terms of first-party titles, stating that they have 4 in the chamber to show us. So without further ado, let's talk about what those are in the what we know portion of this video. The 4 first-party titles that they outlined this year are The Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding. Spider-Man was the only game that had plenty of info and gameplay going around to give us an idea of what it is. The other 3, not so much. However, in the case of The Last of Us Part 2, we can expect something that plays similar to the original, survival horror with some action and stealth thrown in. Something that I'm hoping is a bit better executed this time around. Ghost of Tsushima gives off the aura of a game that could be centered around action or stealth, or both. With player choice of approaching gameplay being a rather popular trope in games these days, I would not be surprised if this turns out to be the case. Death Stranding is probably the biggest mystery of the 4, with every trailer being, for lack of a better definition, a total mindfuck. But there are some crazy rumors going around about what the game actually is, and if true, it sounds kinda crazy. Sadly, I won't be getting into any of that here, or this video will be an hour long on its own, so let's get into predictions. Let's kick this off with one that's on everyone's mind, a game the industry has dubbed Shadows Die Twice since we don't have an official name for it yet. This project was teased, emphasis on the word teased, at the VGAs last year with a 33-second trailer as it was cut short with a
"And that's all you get."
We know that it's a From Software game, the question is, what the hell is it? Another Dark Souls? Maybe Bloodborne 2? Well, a recent rumor from 4chan, of all places, suggests that it's neither and is a new title entirely. Which would make sense as Miyazaki himself said that the next project would be very different. I won't go too deep into the rumored info as it's just that, a rumor, but much of it seems to make sense. The game apparently plays similar to a Soulsborne, but takes place in a dark fantasy world that resembles Japan, where deranged blood cults have begun changing people into monsters. The rumor says that the game will play similar to that of Bloodborne and one of From's older titles, Kuon, taking more inspiration from the latter, and is much more open world than any of the Dark Souls games or Bloodborne. I suspect we'll finally see what this game is for sure at Sony's press event, considering their relationship with From Software on stuff like this. If history is repeating itself, which chances are it is, then we'll likely be seeing Destiny 2's big The Taken King size expansion on Sony's stage at E3. This is in line with what they did for Destiny 1, and with Sony's exclusive deal with Activision when it comes to Destiny, chances are any new announcements will specifically appear on their stage related to the game. The Walmart Canada leak that gave this one away has it listed as Destiny Comet, which is very much not the name of this DLC, but will likely be a Game of the Year edition, so to speak, where new players can pick up this latest edition of the game, complete with the new expansion and all the older DLC. Hopefully not screwing over existing players, but this is Activision we're talking about, so tempered expectations are highly advised. I predict that this will finally be revealed on Sony's stage this year. It only just had a recent trailer as well as a release date revealed, but what better way to get people talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 than to have another blockbuster trailer shown during Sony's press conference, to keep people talking about it. Not too much to say here outside of the game getting close to release, and while they don't really have to show it off on the stage at E3, I imagine it would be in their best interest to do so. So I predict we might see a short buzz trailer at E3 this year for it, and possibly on Sony's stage. Next up, Code Vein. another Soulsborne from Namco Bandai that was announced over a year ago. Many people have taken to calling it anime Soulsborne based on its aesthetic, and it wouldn't be too far off the mark to do so. This is obviously a multi-platform game. It could very well end up on Microsoft stage instead, or both, but I get the feeling we'll definitely see more of this game along with the release date if it happens to be shown regardless. My hunch is that we'll see it on Sony stage instead, but who knows. I believe I'll wrap it up here for the predictions. On the risk that this video ends up being way too long should I keep going. Long story short, there are plenty of games that could end up being shown on Sony's stage, and there's guaranteed to be a pretty decent segment dedicated to their VR lineup, which will probably include things like Vacation Simulator, Transference, and so on. But if there's one key takeaway from Sony's presence at E3 this year, is that it's clear they feel as if they don't really have to take the event by storm anymore, with all the other platforms in which they can announce games otherwise. Hell, they may even intentionally hold back like they've done in years prior, in lieu of things like, we'll have more at Gamescom, or E3 was only half the battle, wait till PSX. Even with these already announced games, I get the feeling we may still get one last surprise out of them, that they're keeping under wraps. What that is, we'll have to wait and see.